On April 20th of this year, as Chief Na'moks, I banned all pipelines on the Tsayu territory. And after I made that declaration in our feast hall, the other chiefs stood up and they supported that ban, and they will do the same thing with their territories. So that'll ban pipelines on the entire 22,000 square kilometers of territory. It must be realized that our territory is unceded, non-treaty, and undefeated. We are the government on the land as hereditary chiefs. And in that capacity, it's our people who direct us. They call us the head push because they tell us the words and the actions, and we push it forward on their behalf.
So this isn't just Enbridge now, we're talking about several gas pipelines as well, correct?
When you have to actually look back to the very beginning of where do they get these here gases from. When you're talking about fracking and the dangers that come with it, the waste of water, the poisoning of water, the waste of land, the poisoning of that land. You know, when we allow pipelines, we have to take that responsibility that we're supporting this industry to continue that. As Wet'suwet'en, we can't do that. As hereditary chiefs and as Wet'suwet'en people, we know we need to look after our neighbours that are around us. And this is our way of doing it, of assisting them. It's not just a nation, it's not just BC, this is a Canadian issue. You know, when they start talking about the money that they'll make from it and how they can make these fabricated numbers up, there's no truth to it, because if you do the simple math on it, it doesn't add up to what they're saying. You know, there is no long-term gain for this. All we see as Wet'suwet'en people is people coming in, making an investment, taking a resource, and then they get to go home and we're left with the mess. We don't get to go anywhere. We are home.
The Haisla, for instance, have partnered with a number of the terminal proposals, and there's a First Nations pipeline group connected to the Pacific Trails pipeline, and they seem to be believing some of the arguments about the economic benefits right now. But I gather that you don't share that view, and I wonder if you're rubbing off at all on some of your fellow chiefs in neighboring territories, the kind of thinking you have right now.
I think the ones that have signed on are actually elected chiefs. We're hereditary chiefs, and we've made the decision. Our people have made the decision for us, and we have to listen to the people. When we get a nation on one side of us or the other that agrees with it, that still doesn't mean that we have to agree. We have to look at the overall picture. What is the best for our nation, neighboring nations, British Columbia and Canada? You know, when we start having to listen to industry, which is currently steering a government, where's the freedom? Where's your freedom of speech? Where's your freedom to act? Where's your freedom to stand up for what is right and proper?
Some members of one of your clans, the unceded clan, has actually set up a camp on the Maurice River and has put themselves physically in the path of the pipeline. I wonder if you can comment on that and what potentially you foresee your people being prepared to do as this construction is, the preliminary construction is going on here in your territory.
Well, within the 22,000 square kilometers of Wet'suwet'en territory, we have house groups, and each of the clans look after it, and each of the house groups look after it, and they get to manage the land as they see fit. If the unceded wish to continue with their actions on their territory, they have that right. It is their territory to act on and protect it as they see fit. How far are we willing to go? I could do the same question that we had asked industry before. Why ask us how far we're willing to go to protect our lands when they should be telling us how far they're willing to go to push this through and ram it down our throats? If we don't agree with something, we have a right to say no. It was a couple of years ago, the Prime Minister said that First Nations didn't have veto power, but that doesn't mean we can't say no.
Has there been any reaction from industry or either level of government towards this position that you've taken, or are they just sort of ignoring it and hope that this potential problem for them will go away?
The problem won't go away, it'll just actually grow on them. The fact is they're out there with their media releases and they're putting out propaganda that this is a given, these projects are a given and they're a go, when in actual fact they're not. You know, they could go out there and say whatever they want, but the truth is the people have the final say.
Now, I wonder, we talked about this before a little bit with the the investors of these companies and their boards are at a critical juncture here in terms of making decisions about whether they will make final investment and take these projects to the next level beyond the relatively minimal investment they made so far. Do you sense that there will be any impact in terms of what these companies are going to take away from this, that they might be a little more hesitant to dump that kind of money into these projects, knowing that there's a nation like your own standing strongly against them?
Well, with the media releases they have out there, I think that's what they're targeting. They're targeting these investors and trying to make it sound like these are sound investments, when in fact they're not sound investments. You know, these here, if we go into litigation, right now, even mitigation, it's years and years and years. And are they willing to sit on their money for that long? As investors, they want a return on their money. Well, currently it'll just sit still and it will rot. If they come to their senses, they'd realize that this is a downhill slope. You know, they're actually fighting an uphill battle. There's a slippery slope one way and an uphill battle the other way. And the fact is, we need to look after the lands. British Columbia is one of the few provinces left that aren't heavily impacted by one industry or another, and we have a right to protect it. All you have to do is look at our clean water, look at this beautiful air that we breathe, and you'll know why we are saying no.